Welcome back. We're in the stock round. So the way the stock round works is whoever went last in the last stock round, the player after them gets the first player token. So it's always in player order. Remember, we're player number 5. Player number 4 is De Gaulle. Player 3 is Mr. Wellington. 2 is Medici, and 1 is Russia. Or no, 2 is Russia, 1 is Medici. So Medici is technically the first player. Whoever went last, so let's say it was Russia that went last, then player 3 would, Mr. Wellington, would be the first player to go this round, and then we would just go 3, 4, 5, and then go to 1, 2. So anyways, that's my long-winded way of explaining that we always maintain turn order. It's just that it may not be player 1 who always goes first, is what I'm trying to say. I forgot to even do that. So I don't remember who did the last action. I think it was actually Russia, because he went major with a whole bunch of his company, or a couple of his companies here. But he actually went major first, since he's on top. It could be us that went last, because, and so let's just say that. And then so Medici goes first. Now I'm going to give a disclaimer, because the way this works is in the stock round, you have multiple choices. You can buy shares, you can sell shares, you can take your companies and go major, okay? You can do a merger between a major and a minor. Now, you cannot do a merger between a regional and a minor. It has to be a major. But there is a rule that's preventing that from happening. You can only do mergers after the first green train is bought. So the green train has not been bought. That was another reason why Mr. Russia chose not to buy it. So it's going to prevent us from doing mergers this stock round. There is no mergers allowed this stock round. So we're limited to buying and selling shares. Okay, at this phase of the game, nobody is going to sell shares. There might be a reason why one person might want to, but so what we do is we go in player order, and if you're going to buy a share or sell a share, you do it one at a time. You can sell multiple shares as long as it's of the same stock. So if you want to sell 3 shares of one stock, you can do that all on one turn. But if you're buying stock, you can only buy in them one at a time. Okay? Now the reason for that is you can actually take over other companies. So, for example, I own a 2 share of SB. If somebody else buys 3 shares of SB and I don't buy any, they actually steal the company from me. And so they're going to get the president's share, and I still own 2 shares of it, but they will take this certificate away from me, and they actually will manage the company instead of me. So there is shenanigans there where you can steal companies from other players. And there's strategy behind that. Now, Medici's strategy is he wants to buy other people's stock. However, he still wants to buy the 2 companies that he has first. So the idea is he was going to buy into his own companies and then buy other people's stuff. That's not playing out really well, and so we're having to change his AI strategy a little bit. So why am I explaining all this? What I want to do is, if we go one player at a time, we're going to be walking around this table 30 times with the camera. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to just go one player at a time, and we're going to do all of our buying and selling at once. I'm explaining to you that that's not the rules of the game. I'm doing it just to save us camera time and walking around, and I'm going to explain the strategies. I'm controlling all the players, so there's no worries here. But if Medici starts pulling shenanigans where he wants to buy someone's shares or sell someone's shares, that's when we have to slow down and do it properly. Because if somebody's trying to buy my shares and I only own 2 of them, I get to take my turn, and then on my turn, I'm going to buy a share of this to prevent them from stealing the company from me. Do you see how that there is this interaction between players? For this stock round, nobody has been able to afford a green train. We need to be able to buy green trains. It is imperative to being able to move up on our stock track. So there's no shenanigans going on this round. I don't think anybody has a lot of money. They have some. And what they're going to do is they're going to use the money they have to get their companies positioned so they can buy green trains. And you're going to see how that works right now. So we're going to go to Medici, and we're going to start with him. So Medici, at minimum, wants green trains for his 2 Italian companies. He would like green trains for all 4 of his companies because every company makes him money. So we're going to come over here, and we have to look at his cash and figure out the situation. So I'm going to start, sorting it here. It's just easier to count if we can sort the different denominations here. And you know what? I might do this phase the proper way so you understand the rules, and then we might cut corners later. But this is actually the best phase to cut corners, so I'm still debating it internally. Okay, so MZA and MAV are still regionals. So they're on the par board here. And you can see MZA and MAV are both worth $60 a share. They're really cheap shares. SFAI and SFR are in the major stock board. And they're way up there in the major stock area. No, they're not. Medici has all of them as regionals. They're worth $90 a share. I forgot about that. Medici does not have any majors yet. So what he wants to do is he wants to buy more shares. SFR, for example, has $150 right there. He needs $225 at $90 a share. So $75, $85, $90 a share. He wants to buy the last share of SFR. Okay, so in a multiplayer game, let's say it's his turn. He's going to buy this share. Then it goes to whoever player 2 is, which is Russia. Okay? Russia may decide that he wants to buy this share of SFAI, because remember, there's only 2 shares of this here. So he may try to buy one of these shares. And so there's a couple rules that come into play. First one is, never mind. In the very first stock round, which is not this one, this is the second stock round, you actually have the ability to stop somebody from buying one of your shares. So that doesn't apply anymore. So if we're doing turn order, if he buys this share of SFR, that's the last one, right? So he now has 4 shares. So we're going to do that. We're going to pay the $90. So SFR now can afford a green train. Okay, and then he actually owns 100% of SFR right now. So that's pretty darn nice. Okay, the SFAI, somebody else can come in and buy a share of it because they want 25% of the revenue of this company. And that's actually what Medici's strategy was, is he wanted to buy other people's shares. And he may still do that, but because he now owns 4 companies, he had to change. He wants to invest in himself a little bit first. Okay, so I know I explained all that, but the reason I'm explaining this possibility is the reason you take individual turns is people can mess with you and buy your shares. And a lot of 18xx people will buy your shares like this. They'll buy 1 share and take revenue from your company. And then at some point later in the game, they're just going to dump your shares. They'll sell it and make your stock go down. So they're going to make your company worthless for you. In a lot of 18xx games, it's a really good strategy. In this one, it's not. The stock value of these companies goes up so much that even if you own only 1 share, if you sell it and make everybody else's shares worth less, you still have to buy a share of something else for yourself. And whatever else is available may not be worth what this was. So you're actually you're shooting yourself in the foot to hurt other people, stubbing your nose or spiting your face so anyways, it's a strategy you have to be careful about. You can do it, and there's times where it works, but you have to be careful. For the purposes of this video, I am not going to do that because, first of all, it's going to slow down this game immensely if I'm going to get into this catty back and forth. And that's where playing this solo fails. That's why I tell you, multiplayer is so much more interactive than this will be. And so I'm going to just focus on my own companies for this round, and we'll get into that shenanigans maybe the next stock round. So SFR has his money. So now we're going to look at SFAI, and you can see he has $75. He's at about $100. So we're going to take $90 and buy a share of SFAI. So now we're sitting on 3 shares of SFAI. I don't think that that's enough, but remember, you don't buy trains until after you run. So after he runs, that's $100. This is $175, $85, $95, $200, $210, $220. He actually has enough right there. So Medici does not have to buy this last share yet. So he's going to come over, and we want to help these companies now. And they're $60 a share, so we're going to grab $50 and $60 and give it to MZA here and buy the last share of MZA. So MZA is sitting on $100, 10, 20, 30, 40, $50. MZA does not have enough to buy a 3 train. Okay, so he's going to have to go major with MZA. This is another reason we do turn order. So I'm actually breaking the rules a lot now. When MZA goes major, that's done while other people are buying and selling shares. And the order that you go major dictates the turn order on the track. So these two are both at $60 a share though. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take his $60 back, because the situation here is MZA cannot buy a 3 train, and we want him to buy a 3 train. So what we're going to do is we're going to go major with MZA, and I'll explain to you a special rule that occurs when you go major. So let's go back around. So in the past, when we went major, I showed you that this, of course, the par value of this goes up to $75, okay? And then you take your token and you put it on the board like so. That happens no matter when you go major. But in this situation, you get the choice of buying a share at $60 or $75, as long as it's one of the 4 shares, those 25% shares. You can buy one of them at this price or that price. So we can choose to buy it at $75 and give him that little bit of extra money. So let's go see if that extra $15 would make a difference in buying his train. Maybe it will, maybe it won't. So let's go see. So he's sitting at 50, 60, 70, 80, 90. He's just under $100. If we gave him $75, it would not be enough. If we gave him $60, it would not be enough. If he goes major like we just did, however, we can move this up and still just pay the $60 if we wanted. Yeah, I think that's what we want to do. Okay, so in doing that, when he runs now, remember these shares go to 10 share companies. So he now owns 7 shares, so he's going to get to make revenue again. The company will. And the revenue from those 7 shares will be enough to buy a 3 train. So I think that's what we want to do, and we own 4 shares of it right now. It's the only way to get a 3 train here. Now, one other thought is you can just say screw MZA and not buy him anything, and just take his train and give it to your other companies and let the other companies do better. It is an idea. And in this case, Medici might do it because he's a miser like that. But he would do it with MAV because he already had 3 shares of MZA. So he's already invested. MAV, he's not invested in. So he may not be as interested in helping Mav, who only has $25, $35, $45, $55, $60. And then we also have to look at how much money do we have left. We only have enough money. There's $60 right there. We can buy one share of Mav or $75 to buy another share of MZA. In both cases, we don't have enough money to buy the last share of SFAI. And so his decision making is getting tough. What do we want to do with Mav, for example? Mav is not going to be able to buy a 3 train. And so the answer to that question is you go major with Mav. So we're going to go major with Mav. And we will spend the $75 for one share of Mav. Okay, so I'm actually going to put this money in the bank because I actually need these smaller denominations. And we'll take the 50 and the 25 and give it to Mav. So we're going to buy one share of Mav, and we are going to go major with Mav. So let's go take care of that real quick. If you are in the low stock regions, and I'm talking the $60 range and the $65 range, you do want to go major quick because your stock is only worth 75 and these people's stock are worth 120. There's already a huge difference, and you need to start moving up the track early in the game if you have any hope of catching them. So if you're on the $90 stocks, like here, you may not want to be in a hurry to do that. So these 3 companies might be better served waiting. It's a real big strategy to the game. It's really hard to tell you what the right thing to do is. I think in Medici's case, he wants his 2 $60 stocks up there right away. He's got these 2 at 90, and I think he's totally fine at leaving them there. And you're going to see he owns 100% of SFR, and he's going to make a mountain of cash. So that's what he wants. He wants cash so he can buy more shares. Okay, so I think that finishes up Medici. Medici is sitting on $4 left. And remember, I am doing this wrong. It's you do one action, you wait until it's your turn again, then you do another action. I just did like 6 actions. This going major was one action. This going major was another action. Buying shares was another action. So I probably did like 4 or 5 actions with Medici, maybe even 6 or more. And I just did them all at once to save us time. And so we're going to just move to Mr. Russia, and we're going to do the same thing and save ourselves some time. Okay? So I hope you don't mind. 18xx games are very involved, as you may have realized. And a lot of that strategy is in predicting what other players are going to do in that player interaction. And I'm not going to try to simulate that player interaction at this point. Let's just keep it going so you can see how the game plays. And actually, I apologize. We're going to do the player interaction. It's just there's no reason to yet. Medici was the one player that was going to do it, but he needs Mav and MZA to make money for him. So, so here we go. We're on Russia. He's sitting great. But if you recall, we said that Lizard and WW needed to go major. And so we are going to do that. They're both going to go major. He's going to go major with everything he has. Obviously, the miners don't do anything. But he's going to go major with everything he has. The bigger thing is where is he going to buy his shares? Right now, if you look at his situation, he has 3 shares of MSP. So he's got a 30% in that company. But he only has the president's share of everything else. So he is not going to be able to buy shares of everything. And in fact, he may not want to go major with some of these for that reason. So let's think this through. His personal money, he has $15. There's 175. Sorry, I had to sneeze. Okay, so he doesn't have a lot of money. So he's in a pickle. His Russian companies did not make him a lot of money. And this is one of the drawbacks of being Russia. So what he wants to do is an OE run, and he's going to do it with, right now MKB is one of the companies he can definitely do it with. And MKB is a major. So he can do an OE run with MKB. He could possibly do an OE run with MSP. But in order to do an OE run, he has to have a green train for those two companies. So what he might do is WW and Lizard might not go major. He's going to let them stay as regionals, and they may not even be able to afford a green train right now. Because here's his situation. He can't afford to buy stocks in all four of his companies. He just doesn't have enough money. So looking at the stock board, I will do that real quick. Okay. Okay, so here's the situation. WW is $65 a share. Lizard is $65 a share. So they're in that region where you want to go major, because even with two trains, they can still hit their numbers. And so that's what we're going to do. We're going to go major with both of those companies. And I'll take care of that when we're done with everything else. I'm not going to buy any shares of stock, though. And I think that's the way I have to leave it for now. What I want to buy is shares of MKB and MSP. So looking at my money here, MSP is sitting on 175 right there. And that's not counting the change I have here. So 85, 95. I have $200 with MSP right now. And yes, because if you recall, he had a chance to buy a green train already. So we only need to buy one share of MSP, which is $110. So let's set that aside, because I may not have enough to buy MKV. MKV, on the other hand, has 10, 20, 30, $40 plus 50 is 90, and then he's just under $100. So we're going to spend $90 or $110 on MKV first. So we just bought a third share of MKV. And with that third share, we're at 150, 60, 70, 80, 90, 200. MKV is not going to be able to buy a 3 train, so we're in good shape. So let's see what he has left. He has $75, $85, $95, $100, and then $3 left. He cannot buy another share of MSP even if he wanted to. So he's actually out of money already. So this is Russia's dilemma. So sitting on $100 cash is a bad move. So he's going to buy WW or Lizard, one of them, because it's better to have at least some shares of something making you money, because this doesn't make you money sitting in under your mattress. Okay, so these are at $65 a share. So at $65 a share, he is going major, so he can choose to buy him at $75 a share. So I don't even have enough money to buy 2 shares. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to spend $75 for a share instead of $65. And the reason I'm doing that is I want the companies to get more money so they can afford their green trains, right? That's what the whole goal of this is. And so WW is in a bad spot. So what we're going to do is we're going to give it to Lizard, because I think Lizard's going to make him money quicker. So we're going to buy a third share of Lizard, and I know the company is LRZD, but we call it Lizard. And then he's going to have about 20 bucks and some change, actually $25 and some change left. And so other than going major with 2 companies, he bought 2 shares of stock, and he already ran out of cash. So I would tell you that Russia is struggling right now and is definitely not winning the game. However, Russia has companies that later in the game are going to be powerful. Because mind you, that's the Russia strategy. So the question is can he catch up? That's the question. And I don't know that answer. So sometimes he does, sometimes he doesn't. So over here we have Lizard. It's moving up to $80 a share. And WW also at 80. So I just realized this is $80, not 75. So I'm going to have to give Lizard $5 more from his money. So I'm going to do that right now. Okay, so Lizard was supposed to get paid $80, not 75. And so both of these guys are coming off the board, and they are going to be on the $80 spot right here. So they're actually ahead of us at SB right now. So maybe we made the poor choice by going major when we did. So anyways, that's the situation there. Now we go to player 3, which is Lord Wellington. And I am low on battery, so I may have to stop soon. But let's see how far we can get. Lord Wellington has a very easy situation. He has 3 powerful companies. He wants to invest in all of them. He wants to be able to get a green train. All 3 of them are worth $110 a share. So that's his dilemma. He cannot do $110 a share with them. But as long as one of these can get a green train, it can upgrade England for him, and then the other one will make a lot of money in the process. So GWR goes first. So he's going to buy a share of GWR. So here's $100, and then here's $10, and he just bought a share of GWR. All 3 of them are $110 a share. Well, hold on. I think BHB actually didn't go major yet. Let me check. No, BHB is $80 a share. So it's actually in a cheaper realm, and it has not yet gone major. And I think he's going to leave it that way. So he's fine with leaving BHB the way it is. GWR, with that purchase, now has $150 right there, and then some change. So all he needs to do is get to 225, and I think he's easily going to make that. So he'll be able to buy a green train. We want to get a share of lawnmower going, so he can do the same thing, but unfortunately, this is all he has left. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90. He does not have $110 a share. So now you're seeing the pitfalls of starting 3 high-priced companies. You can't buy enough shares. You just don't have enough money. And you just buy 1 share of one company and it drains all your cash. If these were all $60 companies, can you see how much more you would own? I mean, you can actually make them take off quicker. So that's the cool thing about this game is these are your ritzy companies, but they are slower to grow. So with that being said, we have enough to get a BHB, and we're going to do it. So 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. I want to get some 10 back in the bank. So we're going to give BHB $50, and then this is 10, 20, $30. So I'm going to put that back in the bank and give him a 25 and a 5. So BHB is actually in a much better spot now. It has $100 in cash. And BHB, though, is not a major. So that's the one drawback here, is he's not a major, so he's not going to make as much money. He's going to get 25%. But there's a strategy behind this. Wellington needs cash. So by having 75% of this company, he's going to make enough cash to help boost these 2. And I think it will work out. So BHB is not going to go major. This one has enough. This one does not. And so what we're going to hope is that this one will upgrade track because he goes first. And then by the time he goes, he will benefit from the green track that he put in place. So he will make more money, even though he only has a 2 train. That's the idea. Let's hope it works. So Wellington is in a bit of a pickle, but I still think he has 3 excellent companies. All 3 of them are excellent. The big debate is, should I go major with this one? And part of me is thinking, yes, he should. I don't know. I really don't. If he does go major with this, Wellington's going to get less cash. So this company is going to give him a lot of cash. So yes, we're going to leave it as it is. I'm going to quit second guessing myself. So let's move on to Mr. DeGaulle. So as you can see, we don't have a lot of cash after the first set of operating rounds. So there's not that many decisions to make. That's the reason why I'm breaking the rules a little bit and going real quick. There's not a lot of opportunity to buy other people's shares. You can see that people are barely able to afford their own shares. And so that's not uncommon in the second stock round of the game. Now, Mr. DeGaulle is going to be in a similar situation. He owns 4 companies, and he only has a 2 share for all of them. And let's scoot some stuff down. So he only has the president share of all 4 companies. Plum and Chin are the 2 he wants to do OE runs with. So those are the 2 he's going to invest in. So much so, he's not even going to bother investing in the others at this point. Now, Bell and RCP are excellent companies. He actually has 4 great companies. Bell and RCP, you can see, are here. And he is going to go major with them because this is the time to go major. And so he's going to take Bell and RCP, and they're going to go in the $80 spot. And we're going to assume that they were doing turn order. So, for example, WW will be first, and then Bell will be second, then Lizard's third, and RCP's fourth. Now, that's how it would be in turn order, because remember, he would take his turn, and then he would take his, and then he would take his. But I'm going to flip it back, because for the purposes of the camera, it's nice when these 2 go back to back, because I can go sit over by Mr. Russia, and we can do 2 turns in a row. And then we can do these 2 back to back, 2 turns in a row, and it's just less table moving. Again, breaking the rules, but it's just to make the video go a little bit quicker. So coming back to here, he is definitely investing in Plum and Chin. So looking at the situation, Plum is at $100 already, and Chin is not at $100. He's at about 90 something. So both shares of Plum and Chin, they're both in the this big stack here. So Plum is there, and then Chin is up above. Chin goes first. So they're both $110 a share. So let's see if he has enough. DeGaulle did make some good money. So here's 100. We're going to give it to Chin, and $10. So he just got 1 share of Chin. And 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. So let's keep some 10s here. So there's 50. Sorry, I'm trying to hold a camera and do this. 10, 20, 30, 40, and then 50. So grabbing another 50 for him, so that's 100. He can afford to buy 2 shares at $110. So look at that. That just shows DeGaulle's companies are doing really well, because he was able to buy $210 shares. Neither Medici or Mr. Russia was able to do that. So this Plum company and the Chin company, which I told you are, he went early in turn order to take these, they're actually paying off really well for him. And to be quite honest, Bell and RCP are doing really well for him as well. And this cake company never hurts. So he has $15 and some change left. So DeGaulle is basically done. He was able to buy 1 share of each, and they are well on their way. So those 2 companies are doing great. I wish I could buy. So here's my other debate. I may wanted to buy 2 shares of just one of these and not the other, but I really wanted both of them to do OE runs. So we're going to see if we can stretch it. It may be a poor choice. We're going to find out. So Bell and RCP are left to fend for themselves for now, but they are going major. So that is important. And so now we look at the situation. BHB is regional, SFR and SFAI are regional, and so is RDSJ. And we're going to leave DSJ as regional as well. We don't need it to be upgraded yet, so we're doing the same thing. And what we want to do is we want to get our stuff going here. It's now our turn. Well, actually, maybe we do want to make DSJ a major. Let me think about this. It's actually a very difficult choice. But let's see how much money we got. We are sitting on 100, 250 and some change. We actually did really well. We have some good money. We could afford to buy $110 shares twice if we wanted. And right now, KBS is $110, so let's do that. So for $110, let's buy a share of KBS. So we have 3 shares of KBS. SB, on the other hand, is only $75 a share. So that's actually really cheap. And then DSJ would be $90 a share. So there's 75, 85, 90. And if we went major, it would be worth 120. So can we get to 120? So this would be 100, 10, 20. Look at that. Okay, so we're going to buy 1 share of SB for 75. So we now have 3 shares of SB. And we're going to go major with DSJ because we actually can afford to buy a major level. So this is $120. So let me just grab the 2 10s. We're going to put everything else in the bank. I need some of my lower denominations. Let's grab 100 here. So for $120, we're going to buy a DSJ, and we will go major with DSJ. So DSJ is going to go up to 120, and he's actually going to end up at the top of the board, which is actually one of our things. Is I just realized we can actually be the most valuable stock in the game by being there, whereas everybody else is one step back. So it actually paid to wait to go major in this scheme. I can assure you that it doesn't always pay to wait. Sometimes these people who go early get a big jump on everybody else, but that wasn't the case in this. Okay, so that brings us to the end, and you can see here we have a bunch of regionals. There's only 3 regionals left, and then everything else are minors. We could not do mergers, remember, because you needed to have a green train purchase. So all the minors are still in the game. When you do a merger, these minors actually go away. So you're noticing that this track is getting smaller and smaller, and this track is getting bigger and bigger. So this will eventually go to 0, and we'll have nothing but companies up here. And so that's where we're at. All the minors, like I said, there's 12 of them that are still in the game. So let's see what happens, and we're moving on to the first operating round right here. So I'm hoping you're enjoying this. This is definitely not war games, I understand. And if you're new to 18xx or particularly this game, I hope it helps a little bit. I know I'm breaking rules a little bit, but I'm trying to explain when I do for the sake of speeding up the video. And anyways, it is getting, this to me is where it gets really exciting because now you can look at the map. We're getting some pretty good tracks in place. There's companies that are major, and we're just getting on the cusp of breaking into the green phase of the game, which is when the game really starts to open up. So thank you for watching. We'll see you soon.